All right, good evening. The April 16th, 2025 meeting of the City Council will now come to order at 6:01. Winnie, may we have roll call, please?
Jessica Ayers. Here. Nick Card. Kevin Keating.
Here.
Mike Kurlinger. John Quinn.
Here.
Zach Smith.
Here.
Kevin Stein.
Here.
And Garrett West.
Here.
We have 6 present.
All right, thank you. We have a quorum. Agenda item 20, Mr. City Manager. But not too close.
Yeah.
I have to have room for my head.
Yes. Good. Final adjustments on the dais. Good evening. Thank you, Mayor Rob Field, City Manager. A few things to report on around town and, well, actually around the nation. We've been pretty busy of late. Jump right into it. We took a delegation to Washington, D.C. for a series of meetings with several different agencies like the United States Department of Transportation, the Federal Aviation Administration, and the Environmental Protection Agency, as well as our 2 United States senators, Senators Merkley and Wyden, and some members of Congress. One name, of course, will be familiar on here, maybe 2. Congressman Cliff Bentz, of course, Congresswoman Val Hoyle, an adjacent congressional district. But also we met with Congressman Doug LaMalfa of California and also Congressman Ken Calvert of California to talk about various issues of interest and concern to the city of Medford. Those were pretty successful trips. We met with the 2 senators. The congressional representatives had all been sent home by the Speaker as a result of a dispute inside the House of Representatives. But we met with legislative directors for all 4 of them named members of Congress. And we made a variety of requests depending on where they're from and what they may be able to have an interest in. It went pretty well. We had longer meetings than we would ordinarily have had if we'd have just been meeting with the representatives. It averaged about 45 minutes. So, and then with the agency meetings were quite a bit longer than that. So, excuse me, the purpose of the meeting with Transportation was to talk about South Stage. The purpose of the meeting with the FAA was to help the county with their pursuit of funding for the expansion of the terminal at our airport. And EPA, we went to have a conversation, which was joined by John Weil by Zoom. It's always nice to see John, even from 2,500 miles away, just to shore up our understanding and support for the WIFIA loan for the project we're looking at tonight on the agenda. So, successful meetings, and all the way around, it was a good trip. You can see who all was there on the picture from left to right: the mayor, the police chief, Councilor Kurlinger, Councilor Card, Councilor West, some other guy, and also KJ was with us as well. These are the topics we discussed, as I just mentioned. South Stage overcrossing, actually interchange, I think is a better way of putting it. The expansion and replacement of certain facilities at the wastewater treatment plant. Discovery preschool expansion is one of the things that they are interested in hearing about. Emergency response equipment. Clean disposal initiative, better known as FOG, fats, oil, and grease, always fun to talk about, and of course the terminal expansion. Fire Station 15, we had a groundbreaking a few days ago. Primary speaker was Councilor Ayers. Thank you for helping us with that as well, along with Chief Thompson. Well, the electeds get first recognitions. Anyway, there were a lot of city officials, a lot of community leaders. And it's a fantastic project. It means the end of the teeter-totter toilet, but was still a very worthwhile and exciting event. Pear Blossom, huge turnout. It was my first. I have to say it was really inspirational to see how many people were there. Councilors were all there, riding in vintage cars. Aside from Councilors West and Quinn, who went the safe route and rode in Engine 15 with Medford Fire Department. It was a great parade and a great event. Something else happened. Our very own councilor, Kevin Stein, he set an age group record in the 5K at 18 minutes and 49 seconds. So, congratulations on behalf of the staff, and I think from your fellow elected representatives here on that great accomplishment.
I invite anyone else to come do it next year. Mr. Quinn, I will pay for your registration if you need me to.
It was a phenomenal event. There were a lot of people there, just a ton of people. And a lot of other community participants. City Attorney Mitten's son was marching with the North Medford marching band in the parade. So, I mean, all the way around, it was just a great community event. A really good turnout and just a fun way to spend a day. And the weather could not have been better. On a little more serious note, we are introducing security to the building. We've had a few issues and concerns in the last several months, so we're designating a public entrance. It'll be at the southeast corner of the building, coming in off the parking lot between the annex and City Hall. We will have, so people will walk through a metal detector. Will have the opportunity to either, if they have a bag, they can either allow the bag to be checked, take it back to their vehicle, or we will have a bag check inside the building. We've contracted with a company to provide security coverage for regular business hours and also for the after hours meetings like this one. The 3 remaining entrances will be for staff and their card holders only, which includes you all. And we're going to start this new protocol on Monday, April 21st. And with that, I want to thank you for the opportunity to present this evening.
Very well done. I think there was one slide that might have got skipped on the ALBA students reception.
Oh, did it skip? It did. I'm sorry. Yes. So our students came back from ALBA safely. They spent 2 weeks. Actually went to the reception that was held at the library to welcome them back. And man, are those kids impressive. They were asked to speak about their trip, and they all did. You know, high school students a lot of times are kind of tight-lipped. Not these ones. They were they made it clear they really enjoyed their trip. They're effusive in their praise for the families that they stayed with, and all around it sounds like it was a fantastic experience. And it does point out what a wonderful thing it is for us to have that sister city relationship with them. It's tighter than most, so it was a great evening, and it sounds like it was a fantastic trip. So. Thanks. Sorry I missed that.
Yep, no problem. Any questions?
Briefly, what entrance is it going to be that's got the metal detector?
Pointing from here, it's down this side. It's down at the southeast, closest to the police department.
Thanks.
So. Anything else? Super. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's move on to employee recognition. Human Resources Director Bonnie Barish is here to recognize one anniversary, one retirement, and to announce the employee of the quarter.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Bonnie Barish, and I again get the privilege of talking about our employees, which is always a fun thing. So our recognition tonight will start with Skip Vinsel. It was 30 years of service so far for him. Parks technician, which that's a long time, and so we want to congratulate him. He couldn't be here tonight, but thank him for his years of service. And Bernie Maya is retiring after 30 years of service as a police officer with MPD. And he also could not be here today, but let's thank him for those years of service. I'm sure his retirement is well thought out. I bet he has plans, but he didn't share them with me. And so now we are going to go to our employee of the quarter. And to do that, I would like to ask our city attorney, Eric Mitten, to come up and say a few words.
Mayor and Council, Eric Mitten, your city attorney. It is my pleasure to recognize Kimberly Boudier, legal assistant, who has been our office's legal assistant for about 8 years and the office's only legal assistant for the vast majority of that time. Kimberly was nominated by Deputy City Attorney Alan Moreland, though I have to say our entire staff concurs with Alan's nomination, and you'll see several of them back there in the audience. A good legal assistant is absolutely essential for day-to-day operations of a law office, and Kimberly is absolutely that person. Our office handles a ton of different stuff, from municipal prosecution to civil claims, to preparing the ordinance and resolutions, to providing general legal advice. Kimberly, for years, has been the primary person responsible for discovery and case management for our prosecution operations, which are thousands of cases a year. She puts together the first drafts of the vast majority of the ordinance and resolutions that you as council vote on the dais. She oftentimes is the face of our office with private citizens calling with questions or to make a claim, and she's done all of this superbly for years. In the past year, Kimberly has also been essential in training new employees. We added a second legal assistant position in our office, and we've also filled several attorney vacancies, and Kimberly has played a critical role in helping those new employees get up to speed. In fact, Alan, who nominated Kimberly, is one of those people whose Kimberly has helped support as he learned our practices and systems. I'd like to read a couple nominations from Alan's nomination of Kimberly. As we say with our AICs, the full nomination form is on file in the city recorder's office. Kimberly's exceptional cheerfulness and demeanor as a leader have had a noticeable impact on the office. Whether managing tasks or interacting with colleagues, she consistently maintains a calm, poised, and positive attitude, even under pressure. Her demeanor has earned her the trust and respect of all those around her, making her an indispensable presence in the office. Kimberly is a cornerstone of teamwork in the city attorney's office. Her positive and approachable attitude contributes greatly to the office's culture of collaboration. She's always ready to assist attorneys with daily tasks, train new hires, or manage logistical details for legal matters. Her consistent support and willingness to go above and beyond to ensure the team's success is a testament to her commitment to fostering a spirit of mutual respect and encouragement within the office. Kimberly's tireless commitment to the city's core values, her professionalism, and her ability to lead with integrity make her a key asset to the city of Medford. Her positive demeanor, high-level executive presence, and exceptional work ethic not only set her apart, but make her more than deserving of the Employee of the Quarter award. And with that, I'd like to thank Kimberly for being such an essential member of the City Attorney's Office, and we're glad to recognize her as the city's Employee of the Quarter.
Congratulations, Kimberly. And with that, that will conclude our employee recognition.
I got a quick question.
Of course.
So I remember, it's been a while since I've seen it, but I remember when Tim George retired, there was like this big key that he got for being the longest serving employee, and then he handed it off to like the next longest serving employee. Mm-hmm. Does that key still exist? Do you still keep track of who the longest serving employee is?
Yes, we do. I don't know that it's like in a key shape now, but they do have it that gets passed on. But the person who's the longest person still works for MPD. She's not leaving yet. I think she's at 37 or 38 years.
What was her name?
Annette Trask.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Well,
thank you.
thank you, Bonnie. Congratulations to our outstanding employees, and thank you for your many years of service to our community. Up next, we will have an update from Medford Water Commission. I believe Brad Taylor is here.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, City Manager. Brad Taylor, I'm the General Manager of Medford Water Commission. First off, I just want to start with thanking city staff. This includes the Planning Department, Public Works, the Building Department, and Fire for the support that they've given us through our permit process for our new operation center. Our reviews have been done timely. There's been clear communication between the impacted parties when there's been comments and things that needed to be addressed. And we've moved through that process very efficiently. So I wanted to just extend the thank you to them. And also to RBSS. Our process with them was smooth and done very efficiently. So just passing those comments your direction. Second item, in the last couple of weeks, we've learned that our 2002 BRIC grant, which is a Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities grant, it's been canceled, unfortunately. This BRIC grant awarded us $34.8 million towards the $60 million worth of projects that relate to our transmission system, our pumping, and our storage improvements that exist between the Duff Water Treatment Plant out on the Rogue River and the Capitol Hill Reservoir. These projects serve future growth of the water system, and they also strengthen our core infrastructure. More simply, these projects are needed more for the future, not just for what we need today. Even though this BRIC grant has been canceled, we are still moving forward on these projects, but the timelines to complete these projects will be extended. Our one-year capital plan will be reduced by approximately 30%, which will move it from $43.5 million to $30.5 million. And the 10-year capital plan will be reduced approximately 18% from $226.2 million to $186.1 million. Again, we're optimistic. We're still moving in a very positive direction. It's unfortunate to lose the grant, but we're still making significant progress on our goals and visions. The board will be reconvening around our 10-year financial plan in September and evaluate other strategies to address funding reductions and the subsequent project delays that we'll experience from this. So certainly a bump in the road, but again, I think we're making significant progress. The community is a growing community. We're keeping up with the growth of that community, and good things are happening. Also, just by chance, I happened to sit next to Sladen Construction, who's here tonight on an agenda item, and I just want to share with the board Medford Water's appreciation for how Sladen has performed the work that they've done for us out at our Duff Water Treatment Plant. Not a insignificant project, very large project, very complex project, and they've just been a fantastic team. They're a team that you can trust, a team that does quality work, and a team that owns mistakes when they happen. So I just want to share that with you all, just because it's been our great pleasure to work with that team. And with that concludes my report. Are there any questions?
Yes.
Yeah, good to see you too.
So, what projects are you delaying and or cutting because of the lack of the, did you say $34 million?
$34.8 million. It's $60 million worth of projects. The grant didn't cover the whole cost of the projects. So multiple projects. So two significant large diameter transmission main projects were hooked to that.
Okay.
A pumping expansion project at the Martin pump station, which sits between the Duff Water Treatment Plant and the Capitol Hill Reservoir. So it's essential in terms of adding capacity to move water between our two pressure zones in our water system. And then the last, one other transmission main project near our Conrad pump station, which is right there on Crater Lake Avenue, across from Red Lobster and the mall, right in that general location. Those transmission projects are just essential to increase the capacity of how we move water across the system. And then the last project is the Capitol Hill Reservoir project, which is essentially the heart of our system in terms of the storage for the water system. That project is still going to move forward. We've moved projects around in order to prioritize that one to keep moving forward. They'll have a slight delay, but nothing substantial. So,
May I have one more question?
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you, Brett. Thank you very much. That's it.
Kevin?
Just briefly, was there any explanation given for the cancellation of that grant?
Well, in general, I believe that the view at the federal level was that the program carried forward by FEMA, which BRIC is a grant program that's run out of FEMA, that program was taking away from the core mission of what FEMA was set up to do, which is to do emergency response after, natural hazards and things of that nature. The program had been hooked with FEMA just because these projects were aimed at doing investments in communities that would mitigate the impacts of a natural hazard happening and how a community would then recover. But there was, questioning about whether or not it belonged through the FEMA portal. So that's what has led to the suspension of that program, at least to the best of my knowledge. Go ahead, yeah.
If I could just briefly add on to that, the BRIC program as a whole was shut down, so it's not that this grant specifically was called out as problematic, but the federal government has shut down the BRIC grant as a whole, and it's affected grants past, it's affecting stuff in Massachusetts, it's a nationwide impact.
Yeah.
Right. Other questions? Thank you, Brad.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, let's move to oral requests and communications from the audience. City Council sets aside 30 minutes for in-person public comments. Comments are limited to 2 minutes per person or organization. As outlined in the agenda, the public may also submit written comments to the council. And Winnie, I'm just going to confirm, no written comments tonight? No. But before we hear the comments, I'd like to just note the decorum policy for the council chambers. The use of noisemakers or disruptive audience behavior such as applause, cheering, or shouting is not permitted. Decorum violations are time-consuming and disrespectful to the speaker and all attendees, and failure to follow the basic standards of decorum may result in removal from the meeting. And finally, I would like to emphasize that this is your opportunity to provide comments to the council and is not intended to be a time for question and answers. If you have completed a public comment form, please come to the front of the room when you hear your name is called. The time is not 2 minutes. 6:23, and public comments will be heard for another 30 minutes. Winnie, has anybody completed a form?
Yes, Your Honor, we received 2 public comment forms, one from Gemma Diaz and one from Gary Spillane.
All right. Diaz, yeah?
Good evening, everybody. Unfortunately, now that I know the decorum laws, I did have somewhat of a question as a private citizen. I was interested in pursuing opening the skating rink for the community. I understood that there was going to be maybe a public works meeting this evening, and I had hoped that this would be the forum to pose that to somebody. I am a community member that is willing to do a lot of the work as a volunteer to open something up like that for our youth. So if anybody is interested, if this lands on the right ears, please contact me. I am a current federal employee, so I do have a lot of 10 years of experience with policy. So if that is, I understand now, I shouldn't have asked a question, but thank you all for all the work that you do. I know public work is difficult, and I appreciate it as a person who was not born in Oregon, but am now a citizen here. Thank you for all that you do. And if anybody is interested and this falls on the right ears, I'll be sitting in the audience, so thank you.
Sure, appreciate that. And we have your information, so we can, I guess based on that, we can follow up with you, but I know that there are a couple of people in the audience that could probably at least get some general information from you. And then, Kevin, did you?
Yeah, I mean, I noticed that there was some things on our schedule for public input. I just don't remember this. It's like on some Thursdays in the future, I think it was, for like community type forums. Right? Yeah. So I think that's what she's referring to. There's something on the agenda. I don't know if that's been well publicized at this point, but there's things coming up.
No, we are in the process right now of finalizing and scheduling 2 town halls. And one for the northern portion of the city and one for the southern portion. And we'll be noticing those very soon.
All right, thank you.
All right. Mr. Spillane.
Good evening, everybody. You all know me, Gary Spillane. Sorry. Yep, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Before I get into my typical 5 paragraphs here, I was driving by Triangle Park over by McLaughlin Junior High, and it just made me think, the individuals I see hanging out there, and I've, called the police, and police are very responsive to the problems, but it's next to a school, and this is like behavior that we shouldn't normalize in front of our kids, and that fits in with, what's happening at the Mission in that little area across the street from them, and a bunch of other things, which I'll get into a little bit more in this. But recently, I was talking to one of my coworkers and encouraging them to come to our newly renovated Holly Theater, and her response was, "I would like to, but my husband and I do not feel comfortable going to downtown Medford." As our conversation continued, we talked about my role as Santa Claus, and she also mentioned that she did not feel safe bringing her children downtown for festive events, as well as stating that it is the high number of obvious drug addicts that are most likely relying on illegal activities to support their habits that frequent the downtown area. This is not the image we want of Medford and the downtown Medford in particular to be, and you guys are on base with that, I know that. Where I feel like it's stemming from is a concentration of services in this part of town as it continues to increase with yet another facility being implemented in the downtown area on North Riverside. The through traffic this will create from Set Free to the Mission and then to the new facility on North Riverside will only increase and continue to have a negative impact on this part of town. I recently acquired a map of services and resources ranging from the Suboxone and Methadone Clinic to Free Spirit, the ARC, the Downtown Stepping Stones, the Mission, etc. All are concentrated to this part of town with the exception of like 1 or 2. As I have mentioned before, I know that no one wants this in their backyard, but we simply cannot handle all the resources in our backyard. Sorry. Oh, thank you so much. It's destroying our neighborhood and our downtown, and good neighbors are leaving our neighborhood. I was talking to my neighbor yesterday, actually, and I was asking them specifically why are they looking for a different place to live. And they stated that they can't handle the continued foot traffic of primarily drug users that continue to make them feel unsafe and not only trash our alleys and sidewalks, but there is a constant fear of having your home or vehicle broken into. This is a stark difference regarding the response, and there is a stark difference regarding the response time for cleaning up trash and drug paraphernalia when comparing this section of town to another neighborhood on the east side of town over on the other side of Hawthorne Park. I asked one of my friends who lives over there on Queen Anne, and I said, "Hey, what happens when someone dumps their trash and drug paraphernalia?" And he goes, "Well, we call the city. They usually get it cleaned up within 1 to 2 days." And I don't know if you remember the last time I was here, but it took 2 weeks to get the drug paraphernalia and the trash out of the alley behind my house. It's a stark difference between the 2 sides of town, and I think it's unfortunate. It's and a double standard. I have a lot of other examples, but I'm obviously over time, and I really apologize for that. And I'll try to make these more succinct, but I'll see you guys next month. All right.
Perfect.
Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone here tonight that did not complete a public comment form and would like to speak? Seeing none, we will move on to the minutes. So we've all received the, I was just, anybody got a problem with the minutes? We've all received the draft minutes from the April 2nd, 2025 regular meeting. Does anyone have any revisions or corrections to those minutes? Okay, seeing none, the minutes will stand as submitted. Items 60 and 70 involve consent calendar, of which there are no items. We will move on then to ordinances and resolutions. There are 2 ordinances for consideration tonight. Mr. Mitten.
Thank you, Your Honor. Item 80.1 is Council Bill 2025-27, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a local agency certification program agreement with the Oregon Department of Transportation to grant the City of Medford Public Works Department full certification to deliver federally funded projects.
We need at least a brief background on that. And I'll even start. This is a pretty good accomplishment, I think, for the City of Medford and the Public Works Department in general to be able to become certified to deliver this work. It's not an easy thing. There are, which I'm sure we're going to hear about it, there aren't that many agencies in the state that do this, so local agencies, I should say. So, is that good enough for you, John? I mean,
That's perfect,
are we
Mayor.
covered?
Thank you. Mayor and council, I appreciate the opportunity to share a few comments regarding this. So we're asking you to approve an agreement with ODOT that basically allows us to deliver projects that have federal funding in them. Currently, you cannot deliver a project with federal funding unless you are what's called certified. And certification is a process where you go through a whole bunch of steps with ODOT to demonstrate that you're qualified, you have the necessary staff, you have the necessary know-how, etc., to deliver projects. Why this is a big deal is self-performing the projects in-house streamlines the process, and it gives us way more control over the scope, schedule, and budget for the project. So it's in our interest to deliver these federal aid projects. Currently, we have to contract all these out or ask ODOT to do it for us. We were previously certified for design only, but ODOT changed the rules and said you can only no longer be certified for design only. You're going to be all in or not in at all. And so we delivered the Foothill project under that program. If before now we couldn't do that. So this will allow us to deliver federally funded projects. This is something that staff has been working on for the past 2 years to get to this point. Alex Georgievich came down with me. Alex is our city engineer. This has been Alex's project, and there has been a ton of reports, a ton of forums, tons of conversations and meetings to get us to this point. This was really Alex's project, and he's done a great job of getting us to this point. As the mayor noted, there are 6 cities in Oregon that are currently certified, all of them in the Portland or Salem or Eugene areas, and there are 6 counties, all of them in the Portland, Eugene, or Salem areas that are certified. There's nobody else in the entire rest of the state that's certified. So this puts us in a very favorable position now to deliver our own projects. I would note that this agreement just allows us to do this, but if we get federal funds on a project, there'll still be an individual project agreement that you will still have to approve. So this doesn't just give us carte blanche to do whatever we want. Council will still be involved in approving those projects and approving those agreements. But with this work and approval, if you do so approve this, it will allow us to proceed with certification. So we recommend your approval of this ordinance, authorizing the execution of this agreement, allowing us for full certification with ODOT. Can we take any questions?
Yeah, questions? Yes, Mr. Keating.
Hi, John, thank you. I guess I'm just confused a little bit. If there's no financial impact, as I think it said on the thing, and so few other cities are doing it, there must be some benefit we're achieving from it. And
so on this slide here, I noted that it gives us more control. It streamlines and speeds up the project to where we're controlling now the schedule, and we have more control over it. Also, when you have others doing work for you, it's hard to always control the scope and schedule of it, and that therefore it impacts the budget. So in the end, this does give us more control over the scope, schedule, and budget, which is clearly favorable for the
Do we
city.
save money therefore by not farming out this work?
Oh, by all means.
Right, okay,
Yes.
so that is a financial impact. That's kind of
Yes.
what I was thinking about in the
Yep.
thing. And are there massive training costs or anything like that?
We're pretty much certified. I'm going to let Alex address that because he had to go through a whole bunch of steps that proved to the ODOT that we knew what we were doing.
So we already
Alex,
did
you
it
wanna
anyway.
address that?
All that's been done. Okay.
Mayor, Council, Alex Georgievich, City Engineer. There is training involved. We have been working on that training throughout the years. We currently do inspection that follows ODOT certification already, so that work has already been performed. And keep in mind, this affects multiple departments. Our legal staff has been working with us for Title 6 and ADA compliance. So this affects finance, multiple people all will be involved with it, but the training itself has already all pretty much occurred. We will continue to do training as we progress through this. The reason why this said no financial impact at this time is this agreement doesn't have any project associated with it. It's only granting us the approval to do certified projects. When we have our first project, we will have financial impacts. We will have our match money and things like that that will go with the project.
Other questions? All right, thanks. I think ready for a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Do I need to be more specific on that?
Maybe just a skosh. Go put that fancy motion up there.
27?
So did I hear you say you moved to approve Council Bill 2025-27?
That is what I said.
Perfect. All right, and so we have Keating has the motion.
Second.
Zach has the second. Any discussion? Seeing none, can you call the roll, please?
Kevin Keating,
Aye.
Zach Smith,
Yes.
John Quinn,
Yes.
Garrett West,
Yes.
Kevin Stein,
Yes.
and Jessica Ayers.
Yes.
We have 6 yes.
All right, that passes. We are on to 80.2.
Thank you, Your Honor. Item 80.2 is Council Bill 2025-28, an ordinance approving and awarding a construction manager, general contractor, or CMGC contract with Sladen Constructors, Inc. to complete pre-construction services, serve as the construction manager, and complete construction of a federally required regional water reclamation facility upgrade project with the guaranteed maximum price to be established by a future council action.
Probably have a little bit of a staff report.
Mayor and Council, John Vile, Public Works Director. Again, we're asking, as Eric said, to approve an ordinance authorizing awarding a CMGC or a construction manager general contractor contract with Sladen Constructors. A little background. Some of you are very familiar with this, others of you are a little bit newer to it, but in August of 2021, we received our new NPDES permit from DEQ for the management of our wastewater treatment plant out in White City. That permit basically was so stringent that there's no way for us to meet the conditions in that permit, and DEQ requires us to upgrade the plant. They also required that we do a whole series of steps to get there, of a facility plan, preliminary design, and a final design, of which they have to approve each one of those steps. Where we're at today is we have the preliminary design complete. The current cost estimate is $302,800,000, and right now final design will be complete in June of this year. So the design of the project is progressing very well. This is a list, and I'm not going to go through all these by any means, and you probably can't read them anyway. There is a lot of improvements to this facility. Most of these improvements are permit required things that in order to meet our permit, we have to make these changes to the plant. But there's also some capacity increasing requirements that we have here, and it's an old plant. We also have some condition related. The big items that are included in this contract are noted here. I'll just highlight a few of them. This area right here that I'm circling, there's 4 new secondary clarifiers. That's a process in the plant that helps clarify the water and remove waste materials from the treatment process. You can see basically doubling the size of our secondary clarifiers. That's a very expensive item in this contract. It's a very high capital cost. This area right here that I'm pointing to is our current aeration basin, and the aeration basin is basically the brains of the facility. It uses biological processes to process the waste materials and turn it into inert compounds that make the water safe. You can see the size of our current aeration basin here. This is the new one that we're having to expand, more than doubling the size of our aeration basin and our BNR, biological nutrient removal facilities. Again, a very expensive component of this project. And lastly, our plant currently treats water at the primary and secondary levels. This right here is a denitrification facility complex, and that's a tertiary level treatment. Our plant has not had tertiary treatment in its history, and now we're moving to tertiary treatment to meet permit conditions. And then in addition to that, there are several other major improvements, but those three items there is the bulk of the cost to upgrade this plant. So the design work is progressing well. You'll be hearing from us here soon regarding finalizing a WIFIA loan to complete the financing plan for the project, and it's time to bring on a contractor to help move this thing ahead. In November of last year, when we asked council to approve exemption from competitive bidding, I shared these slides, and I'm just going to touch on them again on why we're using a CMGC process. Traditionally, what we're all used to is a design, bid, build process, where you design the project, then you bid it, and then you hire a contractor to build the project. There's some benefits to that, and the biggest one is we're all familiar with it. It's what we've all been doing for years and years. The problem with it is in projects like this, what we're seeing more and more is contractors don't want to bid on them because the risk is so high to them. And we're seeing many projects similar to ours that have no bids or one bid that is extremely high, where the contractor bids high to protect themselves. And so, and one of the reasons for that is you have this set of plans that the builder wasn't involved in at all. And through the CMGC process, what you're doing is you're bringing on the builder on early to make sure the project can be buildable. You only learn about what it's going to cost you when you're all done. And then it's too late. And probably one of the biggest issues that we struggle with is the only criteria on the design bid build process is the low bid. You don't know how good the contractor is. You don't know if they're capable of doing this. Their history really doesn't matter because it's not a criteria. Low bid and low bid only. And so the design bid build process has some real problems on a project like this. An alternative process we can use is design build, where it's all one contract. You hire an entity, they design it, and they build it all in one. That's a neat process, except DEQ says you can't do that. So we can't do that. And so lastly is the CMGC, or construction manager general contractor process. And there's lots of advantages of this. One of the biggest ones is the builder is involved early. So if you approve this contract tonight, Sladen will be immediately working with our design engineers and having tons of meetings with them to review plans, make suggestions, and make alterations, so that when you're done, not only do you have a plant that's well designed, you have a plant that's going to be easy to construct. And from that becomes benefits to the schedule, becomes savings from change orders, and it becomes all kinds of benefits to getting the project done in a manner that is cost effective and on time. So back in November, council did approve using the CMGC delivery method for this project. It's a proven process that the city's used numerous times, most recently with Rogex, the current fire station that was noted tonight by Mr. Field is a CMGC type process. The police station was built with this, so this is something we have familiarity with. I would note that the CMGC process, though, is not free of competition. So we, in October, we put out an RFQ and asked for proposals. We got 3 bidders, Sladen, Sunt, and Hoffman Construction. We then took and narrowed that down to 2 and asked them for an RFP, a more detailed request for proposals. We then scored those and interviewed the proposers and made a selection. The team, which was composed of 4 city staff, a member of the Medford Water Commission, who is currently building the Duff treatment plant, along with our owner's advisor and our design engineer, all unanimously selected Sladen Constructors to be the leading candidate. Due to their team experience and qualifications, they're currently working the Duff treatment plant. As you heard earlier tonight, that project is going very well. One of the things that's a benefit, they have also built a local team of craft employees. Craft employees are the people swinging the hammers and tying the rebar and pouring the concrete. They have a team now here locally that does that work. And they also had the lowest contractor fee to do the work. So in the end, the contract that we're asking you to approve tonight has two big pieces to it. The first piece is the pre-construction services, where Sladen will be involved throughout the pre-construction process and helping to lead that to make sure that we get a product that is buildable at the lowest life cycle cost. The scope and fee has been finalized, and the cost for that is just a little under $3 million for a not to exceed amount. And then as Mr. Mitten noted, we're going to be coming back to you because at about 90% design, what happens is Sladen will develop a guaranteed maximum price, a GMP. They present that to us with a whole bunch of detail. We can negotiate that, and then if we agree on that, we'll be bringing that back to you in the form of a GMP amendment to our contract for your approval, and then that will allow us to issue a notice to proceed for Sladen to go then act as the construction manager and the builder and complete the project. I did note that the contractor fee is something that we also, is part of our proposal, and Sladen has offered 6.75 of the cost of the work. That is basically their profit. They tell us right up front, here's what we're asking you to pay us. As far as profit for this project, the other proposal was 10%, so Sladen was cheaper by a considerable margin. So with that, staff does recommend your approval of an ordinance awarding and approving a contract with Sladen to serve as the GMC contractor for this project.
All right, thank you. Questions? Yes, Mr. Stein.
Under the rosiest timeline, when would this project be complete?
I don't know. So, how's that for honesty, Kevin?
Okay.
So the contract or the permit that we have from DEQ says that we have to complete construction by September of 2028. So final design has to be done by September of 2026, and then you have 2 years to complete the project. The challenge we're having is a lot of these items are very long lead time items. The current things going on nation or worldwide with tariffs is making that very interesting. We're pretty confident that getting it done by 2028 is going to be a real challenge, and we've already had conversations with DEQ, and DEQ has indicated to us that extending that time frame may be possible, but right now they say just keep working at it, and when you get closer, we'll talk to you. We're going to shoot as close to 2028, September of 2028 as we can. Will it go into the next year? I would be surprised if it doesn't.
Thank you.
Other questions? Kind of a legal contracting question. I mean, we refer to this as exempt from competitive bid, but as you brought up, that it's just a different process. And I guess to Mr. Mitten, maybe you could explain state procurement rules and how CMGC complies with that.
Sure thing. And the rules for the CMGC competitive process, as well as some other alternative competitive processes, are contained within the section of exemption from competitive bidding, but it doesn't mean that there's not competition. There's actually much more robust and rigorous examination instead of just relying on one single number, the bottom line dollar. So there is robust competition. It's categorized as an exemption just because it's categorized from the default process for competitive procurement, but this is really as competitive as it gets, going through the process of evaluating and scoring these applications.
And Mayor, if I could add, these contracts are complex. I mean, this contract that you're approving tonight is 168 pages long. We hired outside counsel to give us a hand with an attorney who's an expert in developing and writing CMGC contracts. They worked extensively with Eric and his team, and they reviewed it. And so I think what we have in front of you tonight, in terms of a contract, is a good piece of work that is going to meet industry norms and should help us deliver this project.
And then I think maybe it's also worthwhile to point out on the CMGC, the different portions of work. It's not that whoever we hire tonight gets to charge whatever they want. Those are actually the pieces of work themselves during the process are also bid out.
That's correct. And also, the contract spells out what the cost of the work is. Sladen, it's very clear to Sladen that they're allowed to charge for this, but they're not allowed to charge for that. The contract is very detailed on that as far as the things that they're able to charge for. But they, as you noted, Mayor, they can sub out a lot of this work. But frankly, one of the reasons that we did pick Sladen is they also were going to self-perform the largest portion of the work compared to others. And to us, self-performance was an important element of this project.
Okay. Any other questions? Mr. Keating?
As briefly as you can, a couple of sentences maybe. I don't want to tax you on this, but exactly what benefit environmentally are we going to receive from this project for the $300 million?
So right now, DEQ has determined that the amount of nitrates and nitrogen that we're putting into the river and the amount of phosphorus that we're putting in the river is unacceptable. And so they want us to remove the nitrogen compounds that come in many different forms and phosphorus from the river. That's the biggest thing that this did, is it dialed that down. Those two elements lead to unhealthy growth of algae. And that high growth of algae uses the oxygen in the river, and by depleting the oxygen in the river, it damages the fish populations and is damages that resource. Whether that's too strict of a limit, it's reasonable, I think that's a matter of opinion, but that's what it's going to accomplish.
Thank you.
And I guess maybe worth noting, as you say, maybe it is a matter of opinion, and I guess a little bit of background is the city of Medford didn't just automatically accept the opinion of those limits originally, correct?
Correct. We appealed our permit, and that went to all the way to an administrative law judge. We were also, a lawsuit was brought against the city because they felt that the permit, or a lawsuit was brought against DEQ because environmental groups thought the permit wasn't strict enough. So we were complaining that the permit was too strict. The environmental group was complaining that the permit was not strict enough. The administrative law judge said, DEQ knows what they're doing. Both of you just go away and go comply with the permit, city. So that's what we're doing.
All right, other questions? Thank you. Motion, unless there's some reason to discuss. Yes, ma'am.
I move to approve Council Bill 2025-28.
Second. Motion by Jessica, second by Garrett. Discussion. Nothing? Okay. May we have the roll call, please?
Jessica Ayers,
Yes.
Garrett West,
Yes.
Kevin Keating,
Yes.
Kevin Stein,
Yes.
John Quinn,
Yes.
and Zach Smith.
Yes.
We have 6 yes.
All right, motion passes, and we're on to public hearings. Before beginning the public hearing, I'd like to remind everyone that the rules of decorum previously outlined are still applicable, and violation of the policy may result in your removal from the chambers. This evening, we have 1 land use legislative hearing and 1 continuance request. If you'd like to speak during the hearing phase, please complete a blue comment form to be called forward. Comments for quasi-judicial hearings are limited to a total of 30 minutes for applicants and/or their representatives. A 5-minute rebuttal time may be requested. Appellants and/or their representatives are limited to a total of 30 minutes, and if the applicant is not the appellant, they will also be allowed a total of 30 minutes. All other participants will be limited to 4 minutes. Quasi-judicial hearings have specific requirements, which City Attorney Eric Milton will outline before the hearing begins. And we start with 90.1.
Thank you, Your Honor. Item 90.1 is Council Bill 2025-29. This was continued from April 2nd, 2025. An ordinance proclaiming annexation to the City of Medford, 1 lot totaling approximately 0.99 acres, 1.12 gross acres, currently zoned Jackson County RR-2.5. The property is located on the west side of Lozier Lane at the intersection of Lozier Court at 318 Lozier Lane. The county zoning designation will be changed to the city's SFAR 00, single-family residential, 1 dwelling unit per existing lot, holding zone. The property will be removed from Rural Fire Protection District Number 2. And because this is land use quasi-judicial, I have some rules to read. I'm going to explain the rules that govern this hearing. Before the hearing begins, city staff will give a report. The report will list the criteria that governs the city's decision. After the staff report, the hearing will be open for other speakers. The applicant will speak first and may ask for rebuttal time. Following the applicant, any other interested person will be allowed to speak. Before the hearing is closed, anyone who needs more time to present evidence must ask for more time. If you ask, the hearing will be continued or the record will be kept open, and you'll have at least 7 days to present additional written evidence. Any testimony, argument, or evidence you give must relate to the criteria listed in the staff report or other criteria in the comprehensive plan or land use regulations that you believe apply to the decision. If you fail to raise an issue or do not give the council sufficient information so that the council and any party can respond, you'll not be able to appeal that issue to the Land Use Board of Appeals. If you do not raise constitutional or other issues about any proposed condition with specificity so that the council can respond to that issue, you'll not be able to bring a court action for damages. Thank you.
This is a land use quasi-judicial hearing, however, it's legislative. Do we have ex parte conflict or contact disclosures to require?
For an annexation, yes, we do.
Okay. Anyone have a conflict of interest or ex parte contact? None. All right. May we have a staff report, please?
Yes, and thank you, Your Honor, and good evening, councilors. I am Kelly Aiken with your Planning Department. Be a pretty brief presentation tonight for the annexation for the Rogue Valley Affordable Homes development. I wanted to note that Mr. Bob Needhammer is in the audience with us tonight, representing the applicant. So the property in question, it's just shy of an acre, located on the west side of Lozier Lane, just a little bit north of Prune. For reference, it's south of West Main, and the New Spirit project is just to the northeast, right under the vicinity map. The approval criteria are found in Land Development Code section 10.216. Staff has reviewed the application and found that the criteria are either satisfied or not applicable in this case. And the City Council is the approving authority under the code. As mentioned, this is just shy of 1 acre. The comprehensive plan designation is urban residential, and that does allow all of the single-family residential zone districts. The county zone designation will be changed to the SFR 00 holding zone. And I did want to note that the applicant did concurrently apply for a zone change to the SFR 10 zone. The Planning Commission did conditionally approve that application back in March, so it would become effective upon annexation of the property. For the 4 criteria, the first criterion is that the property is located within the urban growth boundary. You can see the blue dotted line is to the west of the subject property, so the site is within the UGB. The second criterion is that the property is adjacent to city limits. It's a little bit tricky to see on this particular slide, but Lozier Lane is actually blue and green shaded. The west side of Lozier Lane was annexed in 2019 after the successful reconstruction of Lozier Lane. The properties on the east side were annexed in 2001. The third criterion is that the applicant, that the property owner consents to the annexation. In this case, the applicant is the property owner. The property is vacant, so there are no electors on site. So that third criterion has been satisfied. And then finally, the fourth criterion is related to properties that were part of the urban growth boundary expansion in 2018. This was not part of the expansion areas. On this map, the expansion areas are shown in the colored areas kind of surrounding the city. So that fourth criterion doesn't apply. So with that, staff is recommending approval, and I'm happy to take your questions.
Great. Questions for staff? Kevin?
Yeah, I don't remember seeing this before, but in our agenda, it says it's 1.12 gross acres. What does that mean? What's the difference between an acre and a gross acre?
So a net acre is just the property itself, and the gross acreage includes half of the right-of-way.
Thank you.
Other questions? All right, seeing no further questions, at this point I will open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this subject, please come forward as called. Please identify yourself for the record before speaking. The applicant's representative will speak first.
Good evening, Your Honor, council members, staff, and members of the audience. My name is Bob Needhammer. I'm a professional land surveyor maintaining the office at 3126 State Street, Suite 203 in Medford. My office represents St. Vincent de Paul Rogue Valley Affordable Homes Incorporated for the annexation request before you this evening. The goal for this property is to build affordable homes for families in need. With that in mind, we respectfully request that you approve this ordinance 2025-29 this evening on behalf of our clients. Thank you. Questions for me?
Any questions? And just to be safe, what? Of course.
I should probably know this, but the difference between SFR 0 as it was and SFR 10 is going to be what exactly?
So the property across Lowe's Lane is SFR 10, so we're contiguous with an SFR 10, so the application is for an SFR 10 zoning.
And SFR 00, it's just a holding zone. It's what happens when you bring something in from the county. You're allowed to build one house on each lot, but you can't subdivide it until you rezone it as another zone. SFR 10, roughly 10 units per acre. It allows it to be subdivided and developed.
Are there questions? Rebuttal time just in case?
Please, thank you.
Winnie, did anyone complete a public comment form for this public hearing?
No, Your Honor.
Is there anyone present tonight that did not complete a public comment form but would like to speak? All right, seeing no further testimony, I will close the public hearing. Yes, Mr. Stein.
I move to approve Council Bill 2025, TAC 29.
Second.
So I have motion by Kevin Stein, second by Garrett West. Discussion? Seeing none, call the roll.
Kevin Stein,
Yes.
Garrett West,
Yes.
Zach Smith,
Yes.
John Quinn,
Yes.
Kevin Keating,
Yes.
and Jessica Ayers.
Yes.
We have 6 yes.
All right, we are on to 90.2, which is request for a continuance. Do you still need to read everything in?
I believe I do.
Okay.
So, sorry, everyone.
Nope, no
Bear
problem.
with me. All right, this is a request for indefinite continuance. Continuance of the vacation for the full 23.5-foot width and approximately 567-foot length of the New Bridgeway right-of-way running eastward from its intersection with North Ross Lane. Subject right-of-way is within the community commercial and community and heavy commercial zoning districts. It includes restricted zoning administrative mapping overlay, and it is land use quasi-judicial, but we already read rules.
All right, we know the rules, and just for fun, ex parte contact or conflict of interest. The applicant has requested a continuance here. Winnie, has anyone filled out a form to speak on this matter today?
No, Your Honor.
Is there anyone here that wants to speak on this that can't come back at another time? All right. Why don't I just take a motion to continue, and when we say continue, we mean postpone indefinitely. Mr. Stein.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask is there's no date certain?
Do you want to speak to that, Kelly?
Sure. No, Counselor, the applicant requested to continue indefinitely. The plan is to apply for a comprehensive plan, a GLUP map amendment, and then bring those two together to you as a package.
So the motion will be, I move to continue 90.2
Indefinitely.
indefinitely. That is the motion on the table.
I will second.
All right. We have a motion from Kevin Stein and a second from Garrett West. Any discussion? Seeing none, call the roll, please.
Kevin Stein,
Yes.
Garrett West,
Yes.
Jessica Ayers,
Yes.
John Quinn,
Yes.
Kevin Keating,
Yes.
and Zach Smith.
Yes.
We have 6 yes.
All right. It is continued. Moving on to agenda item 100, council business. I do have a proclamation tonight acknowledging Vietnamese American Remembrance Day, which I will read. Whereas Vietnamese refugees have proudly resided in the city of Medford, Oregon since the conclusion of the Vietnam War on April 30th, 1975, and whereas Vietnamese Americans have put forth their full toiling energy building the city of Medford in a multitude of prominent areas including industry, economy, culture, education, and military service, and whereas Vietnamese Americans have counted on the state of Oregon as being their second heart, mind, and family homeland, And whereas every year Vietnamese Americans observe Remembrance Day on April 30th to solemnly honor the 58,000 American soldiers and more than 300,000 South Vietnamese soldiers who sacrificed their lives in the line of duty for freedom and democracy in South Vietnam from 1955 to 1975. Now therefore, I, Michael Zarazinski, Mayor of Medford, Oregon, do hereby proclaim April 30th, 2025 as Vietnamese American Remembrance Day, and I encourage all to join in the reverent recognition of this cultural heritage celebration.
Council officers. We met for council officers today and briefly discussed the City Hall security update, which you've all heard about now and received an email on. Soft opening of that is on Friday. We did discuss an update with RBTD and the parking lot closure situation. Additional information has come up that RBTD and staff have been discussing, so perhaps more to come on that later, but the ball is in RBTD's court. We did briefly discuss a Mura item having to do with our deal with Rubicon for the Dolores Huerta apartments. They're not getting OHCS funding this year, so there was some discussion on what to do with that agreement, but we will have a Mura meeting after this. Thank you.
Okay. Any committee reports? Zach.
Yesterday was the Police Advisories Committee, and we actually did a tour of the jail across the street first. It was about 45 minutes, hour long. It was really eye-opening. Never been there before, but just got to see, yeah, thankfully. Got to see the way it was set up, how, you know, they need lots of help. It's a very old building. Yeah, it was quite eye-opening. I got to hear some crazy stories about someone that escaped the monocle or something. Yeah, got to hear some crazy stories. Saw Chad Miller as well. He was on shift. Got to see him too. But yeah, I learned a lot. Like I said, quite eye-opening, and that was the main thing.
Yeah, I have some. So Budget Stabilization Committee met on the 8th. We pretty much finalized all the options moving forward to fill that deficit. So those will be brought to you at our budget meeting. And as far as the committee's future, we're just going to start meeting at least quarterly to go over how things are going with those action items. I also, on the 14th, attended the new Mura 2.0 meeting. We really just kept opening the discussions of where we thought that the map should be. We discussed driving the areas at a next meeting to get further ideas. We talked about paying attention to historical areas, which the mall is almost a historical area because it's almost 50 years old, which, you know, that dates some of us. And so more to come. Not a lot of decisions happening there. Today was the Downtown 2040 meeting that we have monthly. And once again, we were just evaluating our downtown service area, what that's going to look like, what that means for development. We talked a lot about the Greenway, and then even activating some of the alleys and things like that downtown, and parking. We talked a lot about parking, but I won't bore you with that. That's it for me.
Others.
The mayor and I attended the Medford Water Commission meeting today. There were 3 items of interest. First was the success of the new billing system for the public with water bills, and how well that has been adopted not only internally but how readily Medford Water Commission customers have gotten on board with the new website. The commission passed resolutions authorizing the procurement of 2 rather very large generators for the new operations center, and a resolution authorizing payments of SDCs and building permits, both to themselves, to us, RVSS, all for the new operations center as well.
Okay.
So thank you.
And I'll tag on that. It was because I came in just behind you, and I interpreted it there was the water app that they could get, but that was a website that showed their water use during the day?
That was my understanding. It's both they text you. There might be an app, but there's also a website.
Yeah, so it sounds like there's pretty good ways you can track your water use and even have the Water Commission actually tag you if you have a leak or something like that. So maybe worthwhile checking out their website for that issue. And there was one other thing, but I'll remember it later. Did either John or Kevin, did you guys tour the jail?
We did.
Yeah. Any thoughts on that?
It was very interesting, and I met with Mr. Aldrich, who was great, and it gave me a lot of good insight into the need for a new jail and inefficiencies. Asked a bunch of questions, but nothing other than that.
Right. Anyone else?
I would have liked to have toured the jail, but it was during the day when I was putting people in jail, and so I wasn't free.
How's the jail in, was it Siskiyou County? Is that a fine jail?
You should come and join us someday. We have plenty of soups and things for you to have. 3 hots and a cot anytime you want, Kevin.
Well, you can't get that in the Jackson County Jail because they won't hold you long enough.
Then come on down.
If I may. So this is more of the communications aspect than the committee reports, but the Pear Blossom is so well put on. It's like almost hard to take for granted because it's just like everything that Darcy does for us is just top notch. I saw her at the very end when she's wrapping up and gave her another thank you and told her that the council enjoyed our time. It was, I think I don't remember ever seeing as many people there as I did this year. I mean, it was all the way down where there was people. And I always like to shout out the people I find and Mr. Mitten over there. And it was a great time had by all. But thank you for the mentioning my run. I did not expect someone lifting photos from my Facebook page, but that's fine. But yeah, I mean, when I see events like that, though, I mean, it's such a great, because it's a couple days, and then the whole Pear Blossom festivities last with the golf tournament and the smudge pot stroll, and I think they have like 10 or 12 events that are all encompassing. But I've always thought about, well, what more can we do? It's great to have a couple day or one weekend, but I really wish we had a couple more events that happen throughout the year that we can be proud of as a city and come together and have people of all backgrounds come and participate in. And what ends up being is, well, who's going to take that on, right? It's just so super labor intensive to put on a 2-day event for what happens on that Friday and Saturday. I just wish there was that thing. I mean, I do appreciate that as well as community members are saying, hey, let's go do more things. Let's bring things back. I really appreciate that volunteerism that's out there, and I wish as a city we had just that way to harness that energy of like, hey, we live here, we're willing to spend our time, but what is that thing? What is that thing that we're asking people to go do for the betterment of our community? So, thank you.
Super.
Quick question on that. Do we have numbers on economic impact of Pear Blossom, for instance?
Not that I'm aware of. That doesn't mean we can't prepare some sort of an estimate just based on but there's there are no tickets sold. There's no it's not. I mean, there's some participation, of course, but we could probably get an estimate of the number of people who went, and you can apply some formulas. It'll be very inexact, but that doesn't mean it can't be done. So let us take a look at it, and we'll see if we can come back with something. But it's going to be significant. I mean, we had people from all over the place. There were a lot of people from Eugene who came down, including
are the hotels packed?
Including a giant duck. I'll have to check with Travel Medford. The Oregon Ducks, the mascot, the cheer squad came down, which is a regular occurrence. I mean, so a lot of the people who came have to have stayed in hotels. We'll check with Travel Medford on that part.
Okay. We also have appointments/reappointments to make. In your folder is Mayor and Council Vision Implementation Committee appointments for 3 terms expiring April 30th, 2025. I'll just be honest. I don't think I read far enough in my readings here. Does anybody want to just, I know some of these are reappointments, but are they all reappointments? I'm also on the committee too, by the way, which is kind of getting really, really sad here.
Is the young professional representative, is that a new person?
That does not stand out to me.
That's the one I don't recall seeing that name. I know Bill and Christina have been there. I don't know about Megan Thompson, so I don't know, well, anything about her.
Your Honor.
Yes.
So I had asked Nick Card about these people are all serving right now, about reappointing them, and he was for that. I didn't realize he was going to be out today when I
Sure.
prepped this stuff, but they're already currently serving.
Okay. Of course.
I move to reappoint Bill Isle as the Ward 4 representative, Christina Kruger as an at-large member, and Megan Thompson as the young professional representative with terms expiring January 31st, 2028.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. If you guys are comfortable, we can just do this by voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, that's it for council business. On to staff reports. Mr. Field, do you have anything to share? Carla has something to share.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Carla Palladino with your Planning Department. So just wanted to give you a highlight of the kind of first installation of our downtown wayfinding signs. So we have a wayfinding plan. We're in planning, so we make plans. It started during COVID in December of 2020. We ended up, council adopted the plan in March of 22, and we had our first 16 signs installed in 24. So kind of a long process, but we made our way through it. These are kind of the sign templates that we have in the plan. We hired Merge Designs to come up with basically 3 kind of schematics for us to choose from. We went out to the public, did a vote, and we ended up kind of merging 2 different options together and came up with these. The first installations basically include some parking, pedestrian, we have 1 directional sign, and then 2 specialized kiosk signs. We hired Gagey Construction to perform the work, and their subcontractor was Sea Reach, and we worked with them to do the mapping and put together kind of the details of the signs themselves, what they look like and kind of those things. The city team included planning, public works engineering, public works operations, finance, and parks, and hopefully I'm not missing anybody. But it takes a team effort. They helped us kind of get through the construction part of this, so it was good. So just in terms of the parking signs, the focus really was to direct people to Middleford Alley Garage, revamp the signs that point people to that garage, and kind of isolate the area around that. So the map is showing you those 5 specific signs. And then this is kind of what the final product looked like. And I did at one point, maybe a year or so ago, bring kind of samples, and so if anybody wants to see it up close, the P actually sticks out a little bit, and so there's a little bit of a texture to it. The passageway through Middleford Alley, we had a cabinet in there originally, and we took that cabinet out. It used to have a map in it. It was old. The cabinet came out, and then we put these signs up that kind of just point people and kind of give them a general direction of what's happening downtown, allow them to kind of see our historic boundary, point them in directions of parking, of institutions, parks, things like that. So it's in Spanish and in English. The pedestrian signs, these are really kind of more, up close as you're walking around downtown, give you a feeling of, where you're at. And so these are dispersed around the different parks, at the RVTD station, and also right outside the RCC SOU Heck building. So these are the specific signs, what they look like. Hopefully you've seen one. There's one right by the mayor's fountain close to here. So these are heads-up signs, so when you're looking at them, the orientation kind of flips as you're looking towards the direction of the sign. It kind of points you where you're at. These are also in English and Spanish, and again, outline just some of the kind of concrete things that aren't going to change, hopefully downtown, the parks, parking areas, civic institutions, things like that. So it gives you just a feel of where those things are.
It's not individual stores though, Carla, is it?
It does not. It doesn't get anything specific just because those things change so often that, or, they could change often. And then the kiosk, this was kind of our showcase piece. And so this is at Vogel Plaza. We're excited that people can, come and kind of see what's happening in the location. And again, this is in English and Spanish, and providing people kind of, a little showcase for them to be entered into downtown Medford. In terms of costs, planning had budgeted 40,000. The council community initiative funds provided an additional 148,275. Our total cost for the 16 signs was 165,723. And so we had a little bit of a balance left, but we were able to kind of fit everything in that we wanted to do in this first phase. So for our next phase, we are looking at asking for 50,000 in the next budget from council. And really this would be hopefully to assist Travel Medford in revamping their information signage. The visitor center used to be at Harry and David, and now it's downtown at the Chamber. And all of the little eye signs that you saw around town were pointing to Harry and David, and they, just until recently, our Public Works staff helped take all those down. And so our plan would be to help them kind of revamp that and put those back on in the right locations, pointing people to the Chamber. So that would be kind of the next ask and the next steps. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Carla. Questions? Thanks.
Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Field?
Nope, that's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we've come to Jessica's favorite time of the meeting.
Adjournment?
Anything else for the good of the order? All right. Seeing none, this meeting is adjourned at 7:21. Mira.
Is that due to start at 8? Or?
It starts now.
Nice, okay.
We're going to do this right now. We're going to wait 2 minutes, or did anyone need a quick break? How about, is it okay, Jessica, if we start at 7:25, which is 3 minutes and 10 seconds from now? 7:25, promptly.
Yeah, thank you, Carla.
Oh, you did forget your. She's 16 now? Yeah. I bet that went by, didn't it?
Yeah, well, and now and I just don't remember this with my son, or maybe I didn't care as much, but it's been 10 years, you know.
Your son's older.
Yeah, but I'm so worried about her all the time. Like, I'm constantly tracking her. Like, did she make it there okay? You know?
It's because you can, I think, because we never used to have the utility. It's like, yeah.
All right. Yeah.
My instructions were don't go to jail, don't wreck the car, don't make any little johns.
Well,
Other than that, I don't care.
and my son is way more of a homebody than her. So she's doing a lot more than he was.
Tons of friends and everything.
And he was driving like a very car. She's been driving my SUV because her car, she finally got good at driving it, and then Aaron rewired the stereo because it was, every time you turn the car off, the stereo would completely reset. So you'd have to hook everything up. And so he's like, they did it wrong. So he spent like an hour, hardwired it to the battery and all this stuff. Well, we don't have why they had it wired like that. It drained the battery, and now the car won't start. So he's like, I think the stereo's crap. We're just gonna take it to Best Buy, have them install a new stereo, do it right. So right now her car's not running. I have to plug in the charger like tonight or tomorrow, and then take it to Best Buy. So then that makes me nervous because she's driving a stick, and she's not very good at driving the stick. So I'm like, that's a whole nother level of worry. Just never ends.
Yeah.
Counselor, I wanted to share something with you.
Will I like it?
Yeah.
Oh, adorable. So cute, I can barely even
Oh,
deal.
Frenchies?
So you got a new Frenchie, or that's just your existing pack?
That's Imogen. She came from the Humane Society, and I wanted to
Very
share
nice.
with you.
She is very cute.
She is something that, she is an experience. And she has my saint in control.
Really?
Oh, yes.
And she's how big? 20 pounds?
No, she's 30. She's
30?
a little bit beefy.
Okay. My secretary has 2 Frenchies. She calls them her house hippos.
That's what she's like. It's really
They look like little hippos.
Yes, and she's, yeah. I just wanted to share that with you because she's
Yes, she certainly is. I've decided to just eliminate.
All right, the time is 7:25.
Just let the clock be on the screen.
I spent a lot of my time looking at my watch when running and stuff. All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The April 16, 2025 meeting of the Medford Urban Renewal Agency will now come to order at 7:25. Winnie, may I have a roll call, please?
Jessica Ayers. Here. Nick Card. Kevin Keating.
Here.
Mike Kurlinger. John Quinn.
Here.
Zach Smith.
Here.
Kevin Stein.
Here.
Garrett West.
Here.
And Michael Zarazinski.
Here.
We have 7 present.
Thank you. Approval correction of January 15, 2025 meeting minutes. We've all received draft minutes. Does anyone have any revisions or corrections to those minutes? Seeing head nods of no, the minutes will stand as submitted. Oral requests and communications. Winnie, has anyone filled out the sheet for oral requests?
No, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Anyone here to speak? Seeing none. Consent calendar, no items. Public hearings, none. Resolutions. Wait, isn't there like, did I forget something? I thought we usually go to Harry first. I guess we don't do that anymore. Resolution 70.1, 2025, TAC 001.
Thank you, Chair. We have one resolution, 70.1, a resolution approving and authorizing an amendment of a disposition and development agreement with option between Medford Urban Renewal Agency and Western Hospitality LLC.
Thank you. Our esteemed Mr. Weiss, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the board. Harry Weiss with NERA staff. This is really quite a simple procedural issue. We entered into a development and disposition agreement with Western Hospitality about a year ago, and we had projected a calendar for performance under that agreement. There's been a little bit of slippage, a little bit of extra time that is taken to get the project through to completion. The original agreement called for an option exercise date of June 1 and a closing date in July 1. We're requesting an extension of those critical dates by 60 days. To give you a sense of where we are, the project is at about 95% complete in construction documents. We have 90% bid documents, bid responses in hand, and it's holding very steady, which I'm pleased to announce. We go to SPAC on Friday. We have an appraisal in process. We agreed to reappraise the property. It'll be dated as of May 15th. Project is at Bank of Colorado for financing, and they expect to be able to put together a financing package by end of May. So it's moving quite well, and I have more confidence in this than I've had in a while because it's had headwinds in the past, as all real estate does. But it's looking pretty good. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have about the project or the request here.
Miss Ayers.
I'm just curious what the delay was.
Well, it's a couple of things. One is, so Element is a fairly new brand, and the prototype is really kind of greenfield suburban location. So there have been a lot of modifications to the prototype to make it fit in this urban location. And that's resulted in a fairly significant back and forth with Marriott on the brand standard. Some things they've agreed to, some things they don't want to happen. So that's added some stuff to it. Otherwise, it's really kind of a question of pinning down bid document or bid expenses because there's a lot of volatility right now in the construction markets, and so taking the time to have a really complete set of construction documents to have the confidence that the bids are going to hold, we wanted to make sure we had time to do that. The other thing is that when we went into pre-app with the city, there were a number of questions that Public Works raised about the project, and including the request for a traffic impact analysis. A little bit different one because this is the first time that we've actually done a pedestrian traffic impact analysis in the city. It's because we're going to put a 134-room hotel on 4th Street, and those people are going to be going back and forth across 4th down to Pear Blossom Park, down Main Street and the like. And to my understanding, Carl McNair, this is the first time the city's ever requested a pedestrian impact analysis. And as a result, the recommendation is that there will be a rapid flashing beacon that needs to be installed at the intersection of Bartlett and 4th Street to deal with pedestrian safety issues. So those things, we wanted to make sure we got all of those things bundled up before it went to SPAC.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? Seeing no further questions, there's a motion.
I move approval of Resolution 2025-001.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded by Councilor Ayers. Any discussion on this or further questions? Seeing none, have the roll.
Garrett West,
Yes.
Jessica Ayers,
Yes.
Kevin Keating,
Yes.
Michael Zarazinski,
Yes.
Kevin Stein,
Yes.
John Quinn,
Yes.
and Zach Smith.
Yes.
We have 7 yes.
Thank you. Board business. Does anyone have any board business? Seeing none, director and staff reports.
We had been planning on presenting a couple of reports tonight, but we're going to defer those to May until we have a little bit more information to make sure that those are complete. So we can look forward to either doing it in the board meeting or in a study session next month, which will include an update on the Dolores Huerta Apartments project and a subsequent review of our capital funding tracker.
Great, thank you. Representative remarks from board members. So I know you guys have been having meetings in terms to potential Mira 2. I don't have the timeline on me, but where do we stand with even a go or no go on something of that nature?
Next month, you will receive an interim report on the deliberations of the Citizens Advisory Committee, and final recommendations are expected to be presented to council in late summer, I believe in the August meeting, depending on your all's vacation schedule, if you're all around. At which point you will make a decision about how to proceed. If you say go forth, we will begin negotiations of a contract, typically with Elaine Howard, who's been our mainstay on urban renewal plan development, and her associates who do the financial analysis. They will be tasked with the development of the formal planning document and plan adoption process. 6 months would be a pretty quick time for turning that around, given all the requirements for public hearing, consultation with the other taxing districts. So it's more likely to be Q1 of 2026 that you would actually have a final hearing on the adoption of a new urban renewal district.
Great, thank you. All right, any other remarks, questions? Seeing none, we will be adjourned at time 7:33.